Hey, and welcome back to the channel. I am Yogi with Yogi's Garage, and I know it's been a few weeks, well, 4 weeks, since I dropped my last video, but I have a good reason. For those of you who are in the know of what's going on with me personally, appreciate all of your support. For my first-time viewers and viewers that may not know me at that level, here's what's going on in my life. A couple of years ago, during the pandemic, my wife was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. She managed to beat that, and she's been cancer-free ever since, up until recently when they found a spot on her liver and realized that the cancer had metastasized on her liver. So for the last few weeks, I've been caring for my wife after she went through surgery to have that part of her liver removed. And so my focus hasn't really been on these cars. But she's finally told me that it's time for me to get back to work. She can get up on her own. She can walk around on her own. So she doesn't really need me to hold her hand as much as I did before. So now that I've got Yogi Mama's blessing to get back to work, here we are. I've got 2 Porsche 911's for my first time viewers. This here is Pepper, and this here is CK, or short for Clark Kent, because obviously based on the colors, you could tell that it should be called Clark Kent. I've got a backlog of stuff that I need to do on Pepper to get it ready for the wrap. That's where I'm going with this. I've got my hands on some lowering springs to bring this car down about 1.25 inches from where it's currently sitting. And then I'm going to decide whether or not I should put spacers on it to give it that more aggressive stance. But before I do any of that, I need to resolve the issues with the air conditioner. In a previous video, you know that Bruce, my friend Bruce from Renlist, aka Texas Squirrel, came over and helped me recharge the system on this, and it was blowing nice and cold. And then just the other day, it's now blowing warm. I checked the pressure on it, and there's still refrigerant in the system. In fact, when I switch it to the lower footwell vents, I can feel a combination of warm and cold air coming out of there. So yes, I believe it is a blend door issue with this one. And we all know, well, for the ones that follow my channel, know that this guy has a blend door issue because it blows foam at me all the time. And you saw that in the intro. This thing is just blowing foam. So it's not quite where this one is at, but I can also tell that I'm getting a little warm air out of here when I should be getting cold. We don't need warm air here in Houston, where it's been over 100 degrees for the last 2 months. So I've got a lot of work to do. I don't know how far I'm gonna get in this video, but I'm for sure gonna resolve the blend door on Pepper. And then we're gonna take a look at the blend door on the turbo, because the configuration on the inside of here is different. The fuel pump is forward and there's nothing underneath the battery. So I have to see how big of a difference it is and what it's gonna take to do the same thing. Now I know that this isn't the first time you guys have seen blend door work done before, but you haven't seen it on my channel, and you're not gonna find it at this level of detail currently. So I'm gonna show you how to resolve the blend door issue on a Carrera and a Turbo S in one video for sure. And if we have enough time, I want to lower this car in this video as well. If not, I'll bump it to the next video. But I want to get this gal lowered. And by the way, can you tell that these headlights are nice and clear? Because I used the technique that I showed in a previous video, and it's working great. It's working great so much that a friend of mine has also asked me to do it, and I did. And here's a few pictures of a before and an after of what his looked like. And what it took to do that was very similar to what I showed you in my video, except I had to be a little bit more aggressive with the sandpaper. So if you're in the Houston area or you're interested to learn more about this technique, shoot me a DM and we'll talk about what I'm charging for this service, because I think I'm gonna offer it. And not only for the 996s, but any of the Porsche lineups like 996, 997s, any of the ones that have plastic lenses. The glass lenses, those will last forever. So with that, let's fix it. Nice in here. So there are 2 well-discussed ways of attacking this issue with the blend doors. The first way is to go from the heater core, which is underneath the cowl here. So I'm gonna have to clear out the battery and remove the cowl to get to the heater core. And then the other option is to come at it from behind the AC and radio and pull them out, and then use a reciprocating or some type of saw to cut into the venting to get to the same area. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the wiper blades, get those out. Pretty easy process. Those bolts look like M13s. You know, I try not to memorize bolt sizes because it depresses me how expensive they are. Oh yeah, looking good. Okay, yeah, those are 13s, maybe 15s, we'll see. Survey says 13. All right, there's one T30. Actually, it's not a T30, it's a T20. It has a big head on it, but it's not a 30. Right here, right by the passenger side windshield wiper. So 10 mil here. Now, most of you guys won't have these right here. They're always missing. But if you do, they're a little barrel and a rubber grommet. And that's what holds it in here. Here's the grommet. And what you do is this thing just sits in there. And then as it tightens up, it compresses the grommet sleeve. And it holds it in place with some friction. That's it. But I'm going to take it with it so I don't lose it. This one here should be loose. There we go. That's okay, let's see if I can lift this out of here without killing myself. There we go. Holy crapola, that's heavy. So as part of this process, you don't need to take off the battery pan underneath, but I'm going to because I need to resolve the fuel pump issue. In a previous video, I showed that the car had stalled out on the road, and that was because this thing had ran out of gas, but it was telling me I still had a quarter of a tank. So the little float leveler is messed up in here. We'll have to address that after I address the issue here. So now we can see what's going on here. We got to take the cowl off. There's two more T20s right here. And then we just got to disconnect these. The power. And then your water supply is 1/4 turn out. Let's T20 those things out now. Then the cowl will take a few little movements to get it out. Got to partially close the lid of the hood and all of that. And then we can pull it out. Okay, so it's just a combination of a few moves here to get this thing out. When you put it back in, it should be just the reverse, right? You come in this way. No angles or none of that stuff. Okay, now that that's out of the way, the next step we got to do is get the windshield wiper assembly out. And luckily, like everything else Porsche does, they make it very, very easy. There's only 3 10mm bolts that you need to worry about. The only issue is that this controller here goes underneath the stabilizer bar right there. So you may have to snake it out. I'm not entirely sure. But so anyway, the one bolt's there, right there. Second, and then the third is right by that stud where it was earlier. All right. Okay, now that it's out, let's see what it's gonna take to get this thing out. And don't forget to put this back on before you take off, because this is a part of your structural integrity. Now, this should just come right out. See? All right. What I want to do is just put these bolts back. It's always a good rule, right? Bolts back in. Same thing with that 15 mil. That. And there's a little insert here. I'm guessing it's a vibration dampener and to keep it in place, so don't lose that. And we can get this completely out of the way. Don't need to, but might as well. Right there. Okay. Oh, I don't need to disconnect that one. Just one connector. Okay. Do this. And almost like it. As close as you can, so nothing's out. And just close it as you can, all the way. Now keep fluid coming out. Do that on the other side. I do have a pair of needle nose vice grips, which should do the trick as well, because I don't think this is going to do anything, or it won't do enough to hold the fluid in. So we'll go right here, like that, and try to go in a little bit deeper. Nope, that's the flange. We're just going to get a little wet, no big deal, right there. And this has a really cool ability right there. So I'm going to do that and then wrap the teeth just a little bit. And then I'm going to use my screwdriver here to give it the ultimate torque. There. And that should hold the fluid no problem. All right, let's take those off now, the hose clamps, and we'll get to business. What I want to do is see if I can plug the heater core too. Oh, I'm at it. Oh, not a good idea. Blue ones don't fit. Red ones fit. Okay. There you go. All right. Let's get a red one in here. There we go. Okay, red ones fit, not the blue ones. Pressure. Okay. Now this foam cover, the adhesive came off a long time ago, and I have a replacement, so I'm not really too concerned about its condition, but there you go. This one seems to be fine. I just need more adhesive. Something better than what this one had on it to begin with. All right, this is gross. And I'm probably going to clean up all of that adhesive before I put it back in. Okay, next thing is I need to get this heater core out. And it looks like it's held in with a couple of teeny tiny bolts, like a 7 or 8 mil. I brought the whole rail just in case I don't have to go back and forth. 6. Let's try 5.5. Felt a little loose. Nope, 6 it is. All right. Should. Here it comes. So I'm guessing you guys see what I have to do, right? And you were probably telling me that on the screen. I should have listened. Sorry, I apologize, but I got to take this brace off. That means I got to take this side off, and then that'll get me access to the two 10 mils that are holding it on each side. Okay. Okay, there's 2 bolts on either side of this thing. Okay, let's go ahead and get this heater core out now. All right. Yeah, none the worse for wear. Looks okay. Not dirty.
Yeah, so you can see there's the blend, there's part of the blend door. The other part of the blend door is behind this plastic partition here. And yeah, I mean, look, you can see the old, let me get a better light there. There you go. Focus, there. You can see the old foam is kind of attached, but this thing should be completely covered in foam. And they use a type of foam that just broke down over time and blew it in your face. It looks like Volkswagen and quite a few vendors did the same thing. Okay, so now that we have access to this blend door, we got to take it off, but it's attached to, it's attached via a hinge. And this cap right here, I'm gonna wipe with my finger. I need to scalp that top off and get access to the cap that holds the hinge in place at the pivot point. And then there's another place inside the car. I know you can see that pink is where I take it off from this end, give it a little jiggle, and then it'll come out through the opening that I made with the heater core.
It's recommended to use a hacksaw blade, of all things. And it makes sense because you can't really get a Dremel tool or any type of grind or cut off wheel in here. So you're best just coming at it like this. And yes, you're gonna come at it at a little bit of an angle, but I wouldn't worry about it too much because you're not gonna take anything off because that little insert you're trying to get at is a few more millimeters below that area where you're gonna be cutting. So let's go ahead and get this going. I'm gonna use a little bit of lubricant just to help the blade skid along and we can get it started. I'm gonna get some gloves on too because those edges look a little sharp. So for those of you guys out there who kind of know and understand what I'm going through when your partner or your loved one has cancer and all the things that go through your mind while you're trying to help her or help them, you know, it's just pretty stressful. I need to get a light. I'm glad to be able to get back to doing this under the circumstances because this keeps me sane. Let's do it. I'm kind of bending it a little, pushing down with my index finger to kind of keep the angle parallel, but again, don't hurt yourself trying to make that happen. So I'm just about through. Here we go. Okay. And there. Okay. Yeah. Not bad at all. I'll bring you in. But first, here's the piece. You can see I didn't come at it at a straight angle at all. But I did what I needed to do to get that top off. Let's take a look.
Okay, yeah, so you can see right down in there, we'll have to clean all that out. But I should be able to get a pick in there and pull that collar out. Let me see if I can do that. Well, maybe there's no collar in there. I thought there was, but there's a bunch of foam. You can hear something in there. It's clearly the baffle. So, or the blend door. Yeah, see, look at that. All right, so all I gotta do really is take care of this underneath.
Okay, so before you can pull that baffle out, I keep saying baffle, but it's a baffle, blend door, whatever you want to call it. You got to pull this little collar out, and this actually goes into the baffle because that control arm actually moves. This thing actually moves the blend door. So I unscrewed that, and then I disconnected it, and it has a very similar connection to this one. So there's a blank basically up here that holds this in place. And then the one on the bottom is actually the one doing the actuation. So that's out. Now I should be able to just pull this thing out of here. Yep. Take it out. Yeah, that's nasty. Yeah, don't use that kind of glue, folks, whatever it is. It's like super sticky and greasy at the same time. All right, so now that that bottom plug is out, let's get this thing out of here. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure how I was supposed to keep cold and hot air from mixing. Okay, with the blend door out, now you can see what we're dealing with here. We want to get all of this old adhesive off, and what better way to do it than with just a stainless steel brush. Nice and clean. I'll probably use a little bit of AP cleaner and then some rubbing alcohol to finish it off before I attach this stuff to it. This is a neoprene strip adhesive. It's recommended based on some of the videos that I saw, as well as on the Rentless forum. And I'll put a link in the description below for this, as well as this duct seal, because you're going to be using this to cover up the cap that you cut off earlier. So we're ready to go. Let me clean this up, and then I'll bring you back. So what we got to do is basically cut off a few of these, and I think, let's see what we're dealing with here. Yep, so 1, 2, 3, because we don't need to cover all of this. We just need to cover the holes, right? So there and there, so 3 of these. And what I want to do before I put this on here is give it an alcohol bath, just real quick, to get any of the last oils or what have you off. And yes, I'm using Kimtech. You don't need to get all fancy like this. It's what I had left over from the engine build project on this 911. And if you haven't seen those videos, be sure to check it out because it's really cool. And oh, by the way, while you're at it, hit that thumbs up right now. I'll wait. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Every one of those thumbs up you give me helps. It saves an angel from falling from the sky. So let me stop again. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. Oh, I heard an angel being saved. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Keep it coming. Yogi Mama taught me this. She said, don't peel it all the way up. Get it started. And then once it's lined up, then just follow it. Just like that. Like that. And I'm not going to make it tight, right? Because it doesn't need to be. And then I'll come back and trim off the edges here. So again, just peeling this back. Get it set up where you want it. And then just go to town. No more sticking. Now I know why you do the other side. Okay. You've convinced me. When you don't have normalcy for a while, you forget what it's like to have a normal life, you know? When you're not worried about your partner or a loved one. I mean, I guess a partner and a loved one would be the same thing. You're not worrying about your partner dying. So, I'm glad that that everything's calm right now. But we're certainly not out of the woodworks right now. We're waiting to hear back from our oncologist. We have a meeting scheduled for Monday. And we'll know what's going on. So, keep us in your thoughts, guys. Yogi Mama is my anchor. Whenever she's on the show, my viewership goes up. And I'm not kidding. My viewership goes up. I get more engagement. So she's vital to not my, obviously not just my show. Although that's a bonus. But my life, with my family. Now, I don't know whether or not this is going to last forever, but it's certainly going to last another 20 years. maybe even longer. But I'm not making any promises. You wanna fight about it? Let's meet back up here in 20 years and see if this was a bad idea. I think it was a good idea. And there we go. Let me just trim it up a little bit. A little bit of trimming.
Before I put this back in, I'm thinking I'm gonna clean all of that out of there. Hey, is there a screw? Is that a screw down there? Wow, cool. Okay, all right, so I had to pause for a second because I just realized that in my intro I told you that I'm going to be doing one of the 2 different methods that are available online, when in reality I got to do both, right? Because what you saw in the video that I just did is the blender for blending refresh air as well as hot air from the heater core, from the heater coil, and cool air in order to get the proper temperature mix for the cabin. The other blender is the one from the front that's behind the radio and the AC controls, where I have to use an oscillating tool to cut an opening to get to that blender so I can cap it off. So here we go. All right, we're back in Pepper. So we've done the one in the front, and now we're gonna work on the one here. So I gotta take this panel off, and then I'll pull out this component and this component, and I'll show you what that's all about. We should have perfect access to that duct. All right, let's do it. And then there's also this assembly right here on the vent. Comes out. Let's see. There we go. You got a broken tab here, but no worries. This tab here is fine. Same thing with this radio. There's probably something holding it. Okay, I just yanked the whole thing out. And it came out, no problem. Looks like it's hung up on some wires here for the radio. Antenna. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take this frame out. These are Torx. The frame will give me, getting this frame out will give me full access to that ductwork back there. There we go. And there's the ductwork that we're gonna be looking at. So I've got this oscillating tool here, and it's probably 5-6 years old, if not older. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it now. I'm gonna get the right tool on it. And I believe the right tool would be this. I think I have used it once. Yeah, this tool right here. And it's pretty easy to install. Like this? Yeah, there we go. Okay. There, like that. See? It's gonna go right in there and cut it up. Let's do it. So I'm gonna take this velvet collar, or whatever you want to call it, off, because I don't want to cut it. Looks like it's stapled right there. All right, I'm gonna get a pair of needle nose and pull that staple out. So I'm gonna make the lines like that, cut right through. I need both hands to make sure this is right. Okay, here's a closer look at what we're dealing with here. And there's 4 of those oval or pill-shaped openings that I gotta get to. You can only see 2 there. There's 2 more below that. So it's not gonna be fun because there's some kind of deflector here that's attached that I'm gonna have to get around to get my hand in there. And I'm gonna be using this, just plain old HVAC tape. It's this foil. I'm gonna peel it back and get it on there. I'll probably have to do it in little small cuts just so that
it doesn't overlap or get stuck or any of that stuff. So it's gonna take some time. So I'm not gonna do this on camera, but you get the idea. All right, let's do it. I've got 2 of the 4 covered, and I just cut, you know, small strips and then peeled up one side of it, stuck it, and then peeled the paper off underneath as I'm laying it down. I'm thinking that I can get to the lower 2 from the front. Okay, we're all patched up. I'm ready to close this up. I think I'm gonna use the foil tape as well to tape all this up and just tape up. I wanted to pause here for a moment and show you the cuts and bruises on my hands, and both hands are like this. The seams all the way around, and that should give me an airtight seal. All right, and there. Yeah, and just, you know, make sure all the seams are closed up, and if you gotta add a couple of layers, add a couple of layers. I'm using my finger back here to push up on it to kind of seal it better. I may actually add another layer right here and right here just to hold it all in place. You know, I don't want any air to come out of this thing. And I think I need to come down here and finish that up as well. So yeah, okay. Okay, now what I need to do is get this blend door back in, and you got to remember the orientation of this thing because it will work. From what I've read, it will work if you put it in backwards, but you're just gonna have to take it all apart. So I believe it's the skinnier piece goes in, and then this longer piece is the one that's sticking out. So let's give it a go. All right. And then let me get some light back there. Yeah. And then you can see down there at the bottom, it needs to go right into that hinge. Yeah, there, okay. So now I just gotta get it around and make sure that it pivots on both ends. Yeah, so that's what you're looking at there, folks, is that. And then on the bottom there, you get that one, you plug that one in from the inside. Okay, so the final step in closing this thing up before you put the heater core back in is to put this cap back on, and that's what this is for. It's called Duct Seal, and I'll put a link in the description in my affiliate section, and you can pick this stuff up from Amazon, but you can get this at Home Depot and things like that. It's pretty standard. It's non-hardening. It's basically clay or Play-Doh, and we're gonna cap this whole top part without interfering with any of the mechanicals of this assembly. And I'm just gonna make a cover for it, right? All right, there, no big deal. Okay, great. Looks like a plastic razor blade and a little bit of goo gone. Not goof off, but goo gone. And as I said before, that the goof off stuff is too toxic for the paint, and it'll take that paint, clear coat, everything, primer, it'll take it all off. Whereas the citrus stuff seems to be, I'm not gonna say as effective because it really isn't as effective as the other stuff, but it certainly will help you in this kind of situation where you're dealing with this kind of goopy crap. I don't know what this is. Yeah, that stuff melted it right off. I love it. Way to go, Goo Gone. All right, I've got the surface area completely clean. And I went ahead, a couple of years ago, I went ahead and purchased a new one of these because I knew that I was gonna have to get into that to mess with the blend door. So here we are. And the good thing about this, it's a OEM Porsche part. And look, it already has the adhesive installed on it. So all I gotta do now is get the heater core, put this on, and put it right in, and we're good to go. So let me go ahead and figure out how I'm gonna get this on without taking the adhesive off. I think I have an idea. Okay, I think I figured it out. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead and cut the middle piece out, right? Might as well. And then I can just stick this directly on the heater core without interfering with the adhesive. So, all right, let's go ahead and get the heater core back in. Up right there. And 2 little plastic screws. That's all it takes to get that thing in. Okay. I mean, seriously, no torque necessary there. So we'll go ahead and get this gasket on. There, like that. Right? And just tear and start. So who knows what they were using before, man. Whatever it was not the appropriate stuff. There we go. And we're sealed. Cool, looks good. Now, by the way, here's the part number for that blower motor gasket. And there you go, you can see that it's also a genuine Porsche part. All right. Get that all the way on like that. And what I like to do is do it by hand at this point, so that you can get the feel for how tight it really is. I think I can go a little bit more, see? It's time to put the support brace back in. All right, these should just be 10 Newton meters. All right, so you've got 2 plastic inserts that go here and there behind, but there's a difference between one and the other. One of them has an opening that allows the windshield wiper to pass through, the windshield wiper arm to pass through. And then this one here is just a solid core, which I'm assuming is how this goes, like that, right? So the adapter comes in and sits there. And this keeps the plastic from, this keeps the metal from compressing, I believe, and also providing a conduit for the windshield wiper. All right, so let's get this guy in place, and I'm pretty sure it goes like that. Yeah, just like that. Okay, and these big bolts here are 10 millimeter in diameter, and those by default are 40 Newton meters. All right, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it goes right there. You can see some of the wear marks there. So let's just open this thing up. Hey, look at that. It looks like it fits perfectly right there. Get this in like that. Yeah, and you can see that that's where the bolt goes right there. And this goes right under here. Cool. All right, let's do this first. Swing this over like that. Let's put our 10 mil bolt in here. Well, these will only be 10 Newton meters. All right, these 15s are torqued to 40 Newton meters. And these little 10 millimeter bolt heads are torqued to 10 Newton meters. Okay, okay, we're in. Okay, and like I said, come at it from here, right? Just like that. Come at an angle, pardon the camera. Conduit in. Make sure you snake the wiring in right. 2, clip it in. Looks good. Okay, look at that. Looking good, man. All right, now that I've wrapped up the project on Pepper's blend door, it's time to do the same thing on the Turbo S. I'm not gonna bore you with all of that, but what I wanna do is every time I come across something that's different from the Carrera to the Turbo, case in point, the fuel pump, if you notice, is up here in front on the deck, whereas here on the Carrera, as you saw in the video earlier, it's underneath the battery. So there's a slight difference here, and also notice there's nothing hanging right here like there is right there. And that little brake reservoir, I don't know what that does. If you guys know what that does, hit me up in the comments below and let me know what you think it is. All right. Oh, and also I wanted to show you this wire hanging off the battery. This is for a battery tender, and I don't know why I waited this long to actually do that. But basically, I don't use the cars all too often. Like the old wagon outside, the battery dies after about a week of no use. And the same thing happens with these two cars, not as quickly, but if I leave the key in the ignition and walk away, even though the doors are closed, I'll come back to a completely dead battery. And so that's why I use battery tenders on my cars. But instead of constantly clipping it, they include this adapter that allows you to just plug it in and move it around. The vendor that I use is C-Tech. Now, they're not paying me. I'm not being sponsored by this. The reason why I'm bringing this up because my C-Tech just recently broke due to user error. I left my battery tender plugged in, backed out of the garage and completely forgot. And somehow the cable was long enough for me to run over it and it pulled it right off of the car. And I didn't even notice that it got this. But luckily it's just, first of all, this is a wrap. But second of all, it's just a scuff. And I'm gonna put a picture of what it looked like originally because this is actually improved. But this is what happened to my lovely C-Tech. Yeah, I mean, it cracked open. It severed the wire in there. I could probably repair this. I may actually repair it. No, Yogi Mama would get really mad. All right, so, and besides, these are fire hazards probably. So, yeah, probably not a good idea. All right, well, that'll stay in the trash. I'm going to put a link in my affiliates section of the description of this video. And if you guys want to help the channel out and you're looking for a battery tender, you can't go wrong with C-Tech because I have two different battery tenders. The other one I have is actually called Battery Tender by Deltran or Delran. Anyway, this guy, it cannot recharge a completely dead battery. The C-Tech, on the other hand, was able to recondition this battery twice after I left the key in the ignition. It was off, car was off, like I said, but if you don't pull it out, here, I'll just show you. So you put the key in, you turn it, right? Then you decide, well, I'm not gonna go anywhere, and I'm just gonna leave the key in and close the door. And when you come back in the morning, this car will be DED. So be sure you do that and take it out. And don't take a picture of my key. We're gonna be taking care of all of that. That's why we're here, man. All that foam that blew in my face. Let's fix it. You can see that this is not Yogi's garage ready at all. So before we finish buttoning this up, obviously I'm gonna come back and put Yogi's garage magic on it, and this is gonna look just like Pepper. And if you didn't see what Pepper looked like when I bought it, be sure to check out those videos above to get caught up because this car was a Florida rescue. And now look at it. It's almost ready for wrap. I'm gonna get the wheels done and she's gonna be ready. I mean, the interior's done. That was an awesome project. And now this one is just more of just maintenance, all right? So I didn't buy another one of those covers for this one, but I think if I use my plastic razor blade technique, I can get under the adhesive and keep it. Therefore, when I put it back on, it'll be sticky enough
to hold it. So a moment ago, this thing was pristine, and I stuck my fingers on it to see what I could do. And you can see, let me see if I can get a focus depth on that. There you go. That just by touching it, it breaks apart. Let me see if I can do that. Right there. Get my hand in there. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's just crumbling. All right. Okay. Here's another difference between the turbo and the Carrera, the base model Carrera. Looks like this thing has some really thick foam insulation underneath. I'm not sure what it is, but it's supported by some push rivets over there. My concern is that I may have to move this subwoofer out of here. This is a custom box that was made, and they're made of fiberglass, a lot like what these doors speakers were made of. They fiberglass molded them into the door, which is nice. These are really nice speakers. Okay, so it looks like the panel came off, and it looks like I probably should have had that on the Carrera too. If you don't have that, here's the part number right here. It's some kind of sound deadener, maybe an insulator, but there's the part number if you need it. And you need to get these little push rivets too, so be sure you do that. All right, let's get this woofer out of here. Oh, it might be under here. So let's see. All right, I found the other bolt. I think it's just that one, and it's a T30. All right, there we go. Now it'll come loose. I mean, what a great job. I mean, they even put insulation back here for everything. And they put quick disconnects. How about that? All right. Because they didn't do that with the speakers in the door. I had to use solder seals on that. You know, while we got this thing out, let's just appreciate what they did here. Now, I don't know who built this, but you can see that they made a perfect mold out of fiberglass to mount this in that footwell in the passenger side. And as far as the speaker itself, let's take a look. It should be a focal. Oh yeah, look at that. That is a nice kit there, buddy. Focal. All right, let's test the speaker to make sure it works. Here's my 9-volt again. I've got it hooked up to the speaker wire. And so now I want to test this out. So just run it and see if the speaker responds. Okay. And that's a great quick test to see if the speaker is responding and the woofer is not polarized or anything. So that's good to go. All right, here's the other end where it was installed. You can see speaker wire there. They even riveted it right there, which is nice. And then they put a tall post there to attach it right there. So nice work, guys. All right, now, look at this. And look, it's all clogged up with foam. Okay. All right, now that the screw has been taken out, let's see, where am I? Here I am, right here. This should just come out. Yeah, there. So now that's out. Now this falls under the no duh category. Instead of wrestling with some needle nose to try to pull that little insert out, just rethread that screw in there and then pull on the screw, and then it should just come out. Pliers, come at it. Got it. Got it. That was a tough one for me the other day on the other one because I didn't realize I could do that. But now I do. See? Lessons learned. Here it comes. Ah, look at that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so this here is what's left of the original foam, and you'll be hard pressed to find anybody that still has one in this good a shape. Most of the people who use these cars on a daily basis
and have over 100,000 miles, this is probably long gone, but look at this. It just crumbles. I mean, it is soft, totally oxygenated. Needs to be replaced. All right. Let's just put it in here. Stick my finger through it. Boop. It's alien. I wanted to show you the condition of this turbo compared to the Carrera. I mean, it's in great shape. You know, this is a complicated mess here. Just taking some video and some photos to make sure that I see where everything goes. Okay, so I've got it duct taped down, and that gives me access to the blend doors, and you can see they're completely disintegrated. So same thing, I'm gonna clean them out, and then I'm gonna use the HVAC tape to just cover that up, and that'll be it. And then I can tape it all back up. And if you look closely, you can see the other blend door that I already patched up. So we're almost finished, guys. All right. Okay, blend door is covered. Now I'm ready to button it all back up. Like I said, we're gonna do it the same exact way. I'm just gonna take this tape off. Then you'll see that it just goes right in there, right back to where it was, and then just use the foil tape to cover it all up, just like I did before. All right. All right, it's all bolted back in there. You need to make sure that the caps that you took off from the top and the bottom here are aligned and inserted correctly. They can be inserted incorrectly, but you should figure it out pretty easy. It bites into that baffle and it holds it in place so that it can actuate back and forth. All right, there we go. I am finished. Everything's buttoned up. The speaker's back where it belongs. We are ready to put everything back, but of course, I can't do that in this condition. This may not be a abused Florida Porsche, but it has daily wear and tear that needs to be addressed, and that is what I'm gonna do here. So, like anything in Yogi's garage, nothing goes back dirty. So with that, and there, not too bad. Really easy to do, folks. All you need to do is get some simple green AP cleaner at your local Home Depot. You don't need fancy glass cleaner foam or any of that crap. Just get yourself some AP cleaner, one of those horsehair brushes, and go to town. And look at that. Excellent results. I even got the strut towers. You can see there. And I'll just move my way this way. Now I just need to get the windshield wipers in, and we'll have a perfect frunk. All right, I'm about ready to wrap this up. I've got everything back together, but I don't want this stuff blowing on me anymore, so I'm gonna take this end cap off and vacuum out that right there. It's a little bit more effort to do than on the passenger side because of the headlight, but pretty straightforward nonetheless. There are a couple of T20 screws right here and right here, and I believe there's a screw behind there. I don't remember, to be honest. And then I gotta take the light out. I can get that vent out. All right, let's do it. All right, yeah, so there's no screw in here. I'm not even sure. I believe there's supposed to be a microphone or something there, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, this is a 24. But I don't think you need to take that off because the only thing you really need to remove is this T20 screw that goes in sideways here. So it's just gotta take some force here. There we go. I just don't want to break it. You know, this is really nice. And so I want to avoid breaking that and just clean it up. Yeah, here we go. All right. Gosh, look at all that foam in here. Yeah, what the waka?
Look at that. All right, so there's all the foam in there. And yeah, so let me, that would have been a mess. I don't see any more in there. So let's just get all this out of here, shall we? Okay, much cleaner. Now I don't have to worry about foam blowing in my face. All right, let's get it back in. All right, we're just gonna tighten this back up. You don't need to do it too tight, just hand tight. Let's get that 24 millimeter nut back on. Same exact thing, not too tight. It's good enough. Light, and the cap. And then a couple of screws, and that's it. Wipers work. This is a mix. For some reason, that little LED's not showing up. Then I hit it again. Let's see, turn this off, turn this on. There. No air now. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, no air now mixing up here. No cold air. Only here, and it's blowing out like nuts. So this is awesome. Everything's back together and working. Woo! We're just gonna go ahead and look at this real quick to make sure there's no codes in the AC, and if there is, clear them out. Power supply, instrument cluster signal fault. Yeah, so this right here may be related to the instrument cluster voltage issues. All right, let's go here, erase these. PCM CAN timeout phone. All right, so there you go. I was able to knock out both of these cars. They both had completely deteriorated blend doors. This one was completely gone. This one over here was well on its way. And now they're both configured correctly. Everything looks good. And the air coming out of here is way stronger than it used to be. I don't have a CFM meter, but I can tell you, I've driven both and I know the difference. And there's no more mixing of air coming out of the defroster as well as the front. You tell it to blow out of the front, it's gonna blow out of the front and not mix it up with everything else. So everything else looks good. The AC here has got something going on with it. I'm gonna save that for a future video, but I think it's just a small leak somewhere. We'll figure it out. This guy here, I'm gonna get it up in the air and I'm gonna take care of the suspension, and we're gonna do a once over on it so you can look at all of the performance parts on the suspension. Next week, I'm gonna be doing the lowering with the lowering springs on this car, and then we're gonna determine whether or not we need spacers to make the stance look a little bit more aggressive. I think we're gonna do that, but one step at a time. And then of course, I gotta take care of the brakes. I'm gonna pull the brakes off, I'm gonna put new rotors, I'm gonna recondition the calipers, completely rebuild them, and then I'm gonna show you how to paint them too. So be sure to stay tuned for that. So again, if you haven't done so, and I'm gonna keep annoying you throughout the videos from now on, if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel. All of those steps are free to you, but it changes the algorithm for YouTube so that it will recommend my videos to more viewers like you. So with that, thanks for watching Yogi's Garage. We'll see you next time.